that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead if they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
SportsRage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The bottom of this field is a bunch of guys, quite frankly, that aren't on the tour, aren't on the DP tour, aren't on the Korn Ferry tour.
You know, the top 25 or so in this field, I mean, you've got Rory, you've got Lowry, you've got Scheffler, you know, all 4 Americans, Minwoo Lee and Jason Day. And you go to Mito Pereira and Joaquin Neiman out of Chile. So, you know, it really is pretty deep.
In-game live, prime.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pitch, the players, the hustlers, the people that busted them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Wicked Wednesday has begun. The Olympics continue. We're winding it down. We're into the basketball semifinals in the morning. We're breaking it down this evening. We literally have a full house on the program tonight. But let's quickly start off on the Major League Baseball diamond. The Philadelphia Phillies and the Los Angeles Dodgers once again go head-to-head. Tyler Phillips versus Gavin Stone. Both pitchers got absolutely blitzed in their last start. And Gavin Stone has been hit hard in basically 3 of his last 4 starts. Phillips has been hit hard in 2 of his last 5 starts. Will there be runs tonight? We thought there could be runs last night and the night before. We've had a pretty low-scoring series so far at Chavez Ravine. We're not playing the total tonight. We're just playing the Los Angeles Dodgers, minus 140, rolling the dice with the Dodgers this evening. As far as the Olympics are concerned, we'll have a bunch of Olympic picks for you, including the basketball. Another big day for the USA. The USA was, of course, a little bit slow when it came to the gold medals out of the gate in the Olympics, but the last couple of days have been really good. They're racking up medals in events they weren't supposed to win, and that's if they're going to go over 39.5 medals. I've talked about it before. The Grace Note is pretty much the gold standard of Olympic projections. They had the United States projected at 39 before the Olympics started. They currently, they put out their updated projections just a couple hours ago. We can go over them. Their updated projection is USA 42. That doesn't mean we're going to get there for sure, but we're getting there. We're getting closer right now, up to 27, as Quincy Hall won the men's 400 meters today in one of the most epic races you're ever going to see. You know, these Olympics, when we look back on these Olympics, at least so far, you know, it's not done yet, but there's been some great stuff in the pool. But the track is where the big drama has come from. These photo finishes, these epic comebacks. And I'll tell you what, the United States has been at the forefront. It's been a resurgence for the USA on the tracks, and they're not done yet. There's a lot more track events coming up in the next 24, 48 hours in which they can rack up the medals. So they're up to 27 as far as the medal count is concerned. China continues to chip away to get to over 33.5. They're up to 25 right now. So the gap is closing for China, but China's sort of running out of sports that they're going to rack up the medals in. Doesn't mean they still can't get there. There's still a bunch of events left, but with that being stated, there's a lot of track and field left. We got weightlifting. There's some wrestling, weightlifting, but the games are starting to come to a close right now as we're going into the semifinals and finals of a lot of events, including sports climbing tonight. One of these new modern events, it was in the Olympics last time. It's super epically cool, actually. Like when you see it, when you see these dudes, there's a couple of formats, right? I tweeted about this last night because I was giving picks for it, and we're one pick away from winning that parlay, and we'll get you to pick again tonight. You can get in on this minus 110 tonight. But there's a couple of different formats to it. You got the speed climb, in which that's gone viral, in which the dudes like scale this like crazy high like wall in like 5 seconds, which is absolutely incredible. And then there's the other one, they call it the lead climb. If anybody watched it last night, this thing is like sideways like this, and you're climbing up, man, and you're trying to, you're twisting here and there. Like this thing is some serious stuff. So, of course, we decided, we better bet on it. Volleyball, massive, crazy games today in volleyball. The United States were involved in a lot of insanity today. The USA and Poland were going head-to-head in the volleyball men's semifinals. The USA had Poland on the ropes, man. The USA was literally like a point away from winning, 2 points away from icing this thing consistently. They were up. They had Poland's back up against the wall, and Poland ends up coming back and winning, except we had Poland playing Italy in the men's volleyball final. Italy got bounced by France. France, smoked Italy today. So France will take on Poland in the men's volleyball. We don't have any action on France. We do have Poland at plus 400, so we're hoping for the best right now at this stage. We have another big upset. China beat Belgium in women's field hockey. Nobody saw that coming. But evidently, the coach of China used to be the coach of the Netherlands. The Chinese aren't playing around, right? The Netherlands are the best when it comes to field hockey, specifically women's field hockey. So China hired the former coach of the Netherlands. This coach got them into the final against the Netherlands, which lines up pretty good for the Netherlands. And out of all of our Olympic bets, we've had a couple of big ones, but the Netherlands women field hockey team, they were the team that I sort of doubled and tripled up on, believing that they were, kind of the most solid bet. They were minus 200 before the Olympics started. To win the gold medal. It should be noted they've won 3 of the last 4 women's gold medals in field hockey, the Netherlands. So we got the Netherlands and China going at it. All kinds of cool stuff. Golf. We've got the women's side of things started. And France are starting to end strong right now. And France off to a great start in the women's golf at the Club National. Like I said, we got a million events to break down this evening. As Celine Boutier is currently plus 190 right now. We were only done one round. Nelly Korda was the pre-tournament favorite. Lilia Vu is right there. So we'll go over the women's golf tonight. Brady Cannon's going to step up and in. Rachel Reddick, Cam Stewart in the house. We got the Wyndham Championship. Fans will not be allowed. Fortunately, it's not COVID, but weather-related. Hurricane Debbie. They're not allowing fans. And a lot of people are wondering online, well, they're not allowing fans. Why are they playing? And when they do this, it's because of the roads and safety issues for fans, right? They can get the golfers in and out of there, but they don't want thousands of people on the road if something happens. That's why there's no fans allowed. Supposedly there's going to be fans allowed on Friday. They're expecting the weather to clear up a little bit. I saw the practice round, and it was coming down pretty hard. So we'll see what Brady and Cam have to say about the weather effects of the Wyndham Championship. And something that I'm curious too, I look forward to talking about this, is the golfers that were just in Paris, that just played in the Olympics, that are playing this week. I personally think they're fades. All right, and we saw this with tennis. Tennis is relentless. Like Bianca Andreescu, she played in Paris. She won a match, then she lost a match, and then boom, man, she was playing in a tournament in Toronto 2 nights ago. She lost. And she basically said, like, I'm not even really here right now. Like, the adrenaline of the Olympics, getting on a plane, getting off the plane, resetting your mind for a new tournament. Maybe golfers can do it a little bit differently than tennis players can. But I still think that any golfer that just played last week in Paris is kind of in a weird spot going from Paris to North Carolina. But we'll get into that. Paul Bovey, no doubt, is going to have a bunch of football picks for us. You know, Paul's ready to go with the NFL preseason. I've got a 6-pack of games circled that I think we have advantageous situations and or point spreads. But to be honest with you, we're just all about looking at the underdogs when it comes to the National Football League preseason and or really short favorites. But I've noticed NFL preseason numbers used to kind of just be set in stone. They were always the same number, man. It was 1.5 and like 33.5. Now they're not. Like, the odds makers are on top of everything. The information is so available for everybody that the odds makers know, and it's like an FBI profiler. They know what people are going to bet on, and they're able to manipulate these numbers. But I think they get a little bit too cute at times. So we'll get into the NFL preseason this evening as well. This is Sports Rage. Bring it. Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're legit 5 deep at receivers. 7 bona fide pass targets, Gil. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, like, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. The Wicked Wednesday has begun to pit some players, the hustlers, the people above them, and everybody else in between. We've got a lot of stuff to unpack. The Olympics continue, and just on a daily basis, there's been some epic stuff, specifically at the Stade de Paris on the track and field tracks. The USA just dominating right now, and step by step getting us closer to over 39.5 gold medals for the USA. Up to 27 right now. Quincy Hall won the men's 400 meters in an absolutely epic comeback. He was trailing with 100 meters to go, man. Like, he was in, 4th and 5th place. It was just one of those epic comebacks. And watching it in slow motion, his facial, it was almost like a cartoon. Like he was running so fast, like his face was like a dog sticking out of like a window. Like the wind, like his face was like all contorted. And he was just sort of like, you could just see like every inch of his being was like one step, like, and he was sticking like, people don't realize this with track and field. When they get to the finish line, what actually counts first? Is it your foot? Is it your head? It's not horse racing, right? Oh, by a nose. So like, what is it? It's actually your chest and your abdomen. So you'll notice at the end of these races, they're all running like really upright. They're trying to get their chest out there. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to dive across. And both of them, man, they had their chest up. They were going. Like I said, people that watch track and field say one of the greatest races ever, and that 100 meters was awesome. So the golf has begun. We've got the semifinals, basketball in the morning as well. It's getting real in Paris. Brady Cannon steps up and in. It's always real in Vegas. Brady, good to see you tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Good to be with you on a Wicked Wednesday, as you like to say. Yeah, all kinds of stuff going on. Women's golf, men's golf, weather in North Carolina, Bet Bash out here in Las Vegas has been fun. First couple days of that. So, yeah, good to be here once again.
There's a lot of very hungover sports betting geeks that don't drink very much right now in Vegas, I see online.
Yeah, no doubt.
They had wild nights last night. They had 4 or 5 drinks at the party, and they're wiped out today. Like I see on Twitter.
First night fastball, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I went registered, got my media pass, and hung out with a lot of the guys. Saw a lot of guys that I met for the first time last year. Saw a lot of regulars, friends of yours, Rob Pizzola. Rufus Peabody, Sam Panayonovich, and then ran in today to a couple of bookmaker friends of mine, Vinny Malaiulo and Thomas Gable, Richie Bacci-Larry, who's getting elected or inducted into the Sports Betting Hall of Fame. It's a great get-together, and, yeah, there's a lot of networking and just, a boys' party, a boys' frat party of just, sharing stories and drinking beers. But today we also got down to business. And I attended a seminar. They had a great selection of seminars. One of the most popular ones was to go listen to Alan Boston, one of the great sports bettors of all time. Used to work for Billy Walters, legendary college basketball sports bettor. Alan Boston held court today for about an hour. I went to a seminar on Circa Survivor strategy because I've played in Survivors leagues before. But I'm actually going to be playing in Circa Survivor for real this year. So I wanted to go listen to what this guy had to say. It was a great seminar, learned a lot. So, and then I go back tomorrow, more seminars. They've got a college football seminar. And I thought this one was cool. I'm going to attend sports betting journalism. See if they've got any good tips. I write for a lot of different outlets, obviously here on SportsGrid. So, yeah, there's tremendous information and a good time with your buddies all the while.
The Circa Survivor $6 million prize this year.
Up to 10.
Which,
up to 10.
Up to 10 right
10
now.
million, yeah.
And it might even hit 12, I guess, when it's all said and done, if it's already up to 10.
Possible.
So it's 10.
They're guaranteed 10.
It's 10, so guaranteed 10 just to the winner. Guaranteed 10 just to the winner now?
Yeah, which I think in every single iteration of Circa Survivor so far, I believe there's been 4. This will be the 5th. It's been split. There hasn't been just a sole survivor, if you will. I think the first year about 20 people split the prize. Last year, I think
last year was 2. Was it 2 or 3? I think it was 2.
I don't know. Anyway, I want to say the last couple of years was both 4 or 5. But it's so crazy when you get down to the last few weeks, Gabe, and you've got a ticket that you bought for $1,000. With $10 million on the line, that ticket could be worth, $2.5 million at that point, the inherent value. You know what I mean? So you get hedging involved. I mean, the many corporations are formed at that point where investors are buying in. It really gets really wild when you get that late in the game. Saw your boy Paul Bovey today at Bet Bash. That was great. I asked him, I said, "Are you coming on tonight?" And he said yes. So good to see that he's involved. But it's a good time. There's a lot to learn there. There's a lot of great people to meet, a lot of networking opportunities, and then, like I say, a lot of catching up with old friends as well.
Paul Bovey. And how many times, well, I don't know if you know, what's the exact number of entries you could put into the Circa Survivor? I think it might be 6.
I think it's 10. I think it's 10.
Oh, now it's 10 too. So that's where the 10 million's coming from, up to 10. And
there's like syndicates where they'll get a bunch of people and they'll have 100 entries or something like. He's involved? Yeah.
Well, Paul Bovey's just an individual, and he'll have the maximum. Like, I'll ask him tonight. Like, he'll be honest. Like, I know last year, I remember because I was there when he was entering, and I saw him, and I said, how many times did you enter anyways? He goes, just 6. I was thinking, all right, you got 6 Survivor options here or whatever. Like, Paul, like, he enters all the contests pretty much as you can. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, like, I'll be like, okay, I'll get in the Circus Survivor and I'll do the Superbook one. Like, you know, I'll do like, you know, I'll top out after like 2,000 type of thing. You know what I mean? All right, I got 1,000 here, 1,000. Like, Paul will show up. All right, what do you allow? 4 at the Superbook? All right, give me 4 entries. We allow 6 Survivor entries? Give me 6 Survivor. Like, he racks them up, bro. Like, I'll find out after. I'll ask him how many entries. It'd be a good question. But no, it looks like a good time. The Bet Bash, I would have a great time there. But I have a tradition. I like to be in Vegas for Labor Day weekend. College football starts, final week before the NFL.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's my weekend.
No doubt about it.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receivers. 7 bona fide pass targets, Gil. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, like, you know, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pitch, the players, the hustlers, the people who bust them, and everybody else in between. And I see, so Brady Can was talking about being a Bet Bash, and there's Roxy Roxborough, legendary odds maker, Roxy Roxborough. And, of course, for years, there was the Roxy line, right, in the newspapers. And I remember I used to be so hardcore that before the internet, like pre-internet days, I used to stay up all night, and I used to go to this diner where I used to live in my neighborhood because I knew that diner was the first diner on the Montreal Gazette newspaper route. like overnight. Like basically, like the ink would still be like wet, like literally the ink, and it'd be like, hey, because it was a diner that kind of paid them off. It was full of drunk people, and people like to have the paper to read about the Canadian game and when they were drunk, like first. So it was like the first like drop off. Boom. The ink would be all wet, and I just go right to the freaking sports, right to the Roxy line. And I'd go to bed knowing the lines. I'd go to bed after. I'd eat something, and I'd go back home, and I'd be like, all right, I know the point spread's now for the day. And yeah, crazy world we used to live in. That was what it was like with bookies. You call in the bet, and the number was what it was. Remember, Brady, I'm sure you went through this as a younger bettor. The number was what it was. It said what Roxy said it was in a Sunday newspaper.
Yeah.
There wasn't any, it
Roxy
moved, it's 3.5. No. What it says in the Sunday newspaper, that's our number for the bet with the bookies. There was no internet, guys. That was the way it worked.
I like it.
Yeah, no, Roxy, I think my good friend Chris Andrews, who runs the race and sports book at the South Point, along with Vinny Malaiulo and the legend Jimmy Vaccaro, I think it was Chris Andrews. He kind of derived it from Roxy. I think Roxy was the originator, but I almost believe he invented the teaser, Roxy Roxborough, way back when, probably in the 70s or something like that.
He didn't. I don't want to. I'm not trying to correct you on it. He didn't, only because I've been obsessed with this.
Okay.
I've been obsessed with the teaser. And I lived in the same condo as Vaccaro, and I used to always pop gambling questions to him in the elevator. Like, oh, like,
Wasn't
that's
he a
all.
great
Like,
storyteller? He's the best.
It's just like I'd see him. I'd be like, hey, Jimmy, is the highest total you ever seen in college football? Like it was just a quick little interactions in the elevator all the time.
Jimmy invented season win totals. Jimmy invented season win totals.
Yeah.
He did do that.
Yeah, so who was his boss? I always forget the guy's name. Who was the guy that set
Jimmy
the point
Vaccaro?
spread? And it was the original.
Kenny White?
No, not Kenny White. It was like one of Vaccaro's bosses in the 60s. There's a guy, he kind of invented the point spread.
Bob Martin.
Yeah, he did the teaser. He did the teaser as well.
Okay, all right.
From what I understand. I think Vaccaro told me, so I don't want to correct you, but I wouldn't be
guys-
surprised if Roxy was in that circle. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, he was right there.
Because what I was fascinated about was
Go ahead.
how they came up with the word teaser. It seems like a very mob-type thing to me, right? Like it's almost like, what do we call this bet? We're going to add, like, imagine the concept at first. Listen, we're going to add 7 points, and we're going to go both ways. And I can imagine the head people going, what are you talking about? No. We're not adding 7 points, letting people add points to the point spread. No, boss, listen. They're going to have to pick 2 games, and we're going to put big juice on it. And we're going to call it a teaser because it's like a lap dance. It's going to look good, and they're going to get teased. They're going to think they're going to win. It's like a pretty girl. It teases them. Like, that's how my mind, I was like, how do they call it a teaser? Because I asked them, I said, how'd you come up with the name teaser? They're like, I don't know, but it was him that came up with it. Right? So, the word teaser. I got it. You're into Bet Bash. Ask around tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're into ask around tomorrow.
Last year, they had the first induction of 10 people into the sports betting Hall of Fame. Billy Walters was kind of like the guest of honor, and Roxy was inducted. This year, you've got Nick Bogdanovich going in and Richie Bocciolari, Bob Martin, the name we just brought up, who a lot of people call the Babe Ruth of odds making back in the day in Las Vegas. He was inducted last year. So that part's really cool. The Hall of Fame dinner, it's a great steak dinner, a black tie affair, and these legends from the industry come up and people talk about them and tell a few stories. And that's pretty cool, the historical element that's there. For this industry that has come to the point where, you and I are sitting here talking on air about it, these guys basically invented the thing many, many years ago.
All right, we got a break coming up on the other side. We'll get you up to date with the Olympic golf. We'll get to the Wyndham Championship as well. No fans allowed at the opening round due to the remnants of Hurricane Debbie. We'll see how it affects play in Greensboro, North Carolina, and about the players as well that just played in Paris. Whether they're going to be able to dial things up again. Like I said, some of the tennis players that played in Paris that are playing back in North America haven't done well, actually. Dodgers and Phillies. Dodgers just took a 2-1 lead.
Excellent.
hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching him, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receiver. 7 bona fide pass targets, Gio. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, like, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Can't help but think of our late great friend Dave Malinsky when I see a picture of Roxy Roxborough. I often think of Dave. So Roxy and Dave were good friends. So let's get into the Wyndham Championship right now, Brady. As I stated, weather's an issue. I don't know if weather's affected your handicap or not. No fans allowed opening round. There is a lot at stake here as far as the BMW Championship, FedEx Cup. It's the last PGA event of the season. So there's a lot of players that are on the FedEx Cup bubble as well. I don't know if that affects the handicap for top 20 plays, top 30, et cetera. What's your take on this tournament?
Yeah, I don't think you can let it affect the handicap too much, Gabe. And you guys know this really in any sport, especially like the last week in the NFL season. Is a team going to play better because it's a quote unquote must win? Is so-and-so going to play better because they know they have to get inside the top 70 to make the postseason? So I think you need to treat motivational factors lightly when you handicap. You certainly don't want to put too much emphasis on that because I don't think athletes or people can necessarily just flip a switch because they know, oh boy, the importance has been heightened here, and I really have to play.
And they're
well.
always trying. That's another thing. I agree with you. Like last week, there was a lot of talk about they'll avoid military service. And it's like they said. He said, I'm here to win a gold medal. Like I'm not like he basically said I'm not going to be thinking about that when I'm taking a shot. So that's just part of it, but I understand that. But at the same point in time, there are some players that'll just be happy to get to a certain cut line, right, in their own minds, factually to advance. That's what I was trying to say.
No. I think some players relish that type of thing and thrive with that pressure. Other players, I think, crumble with that type of pressure, and you have to identify. I took one player this week, Seamus Power. I took 2 long bombs that are not already Power technically is inside the top 70, but he's on the bubble, like you say. I took a long bomb on Mac Meisner at 100-1 because I think he fits this golf course. He's also 93rd in the FedEx Cup standings. You got to get to 70 or better. So obviously he has some incentive, but he's playing really well right now. He's got 2 top 20 finishes and a top 5 finish in his last 4 starts. And I really think his game fits this golf course. Seamus Power currently sits 68th in the FedEx Cup standings, but he's been a machine at this golf course and all the golf courses that match up with Sedgefield Country Club where they play this. All he does is make cuts. He's really, really steady on this type of golf course. So I think his mindset is, all I got to do is hold serve and play my normal game, and I should be fine. So he's not necessarily pressing. So those were two guys that are not in yet, and I didn't necessarily base my play all on motivation, but I think they have the right mindset to do well.
Cam, what do you think of his card?
Love it. I'm going to tell you it's something. Siwoo Kim, too, has kind of been off the radar. I wonder how he's going to perform this week. Brian Harman, as Brady mentioned, this course is perfectly suited for him. Same with Bazoutenhout. I have an issue with Bazoutenhout just because sometimes he can't put 4 rounds together. Harman's a major winner, so I really like that pick. I like Bazoutenhout more for like a top 20. And Gabe, I'll tell you about this Mac Meisner kid. Brady's right. Like, a lot of these guys are falling under the radar, and we forget they just joined the PGA Tour late, and they're coming on. Like, you forget about these guys because they're young, and there's so many other guys, but they have to make money, get into the top 70, as Brady said, and then they can really accelerate their career after that. Double M's been great, Brady. He's been good for me. I have him for a top 20. If you like him top 40, it's even a reasonable price. So I think that's a great pick and a first-round leader, too. He usually comes out of the gate pretty hot.
Brian Harman is
kind of two long bombs, two guys that have had success here over the years, the veterans, Siwoo and Harman. And then I took two guys that I think are on the cusp of winning soon, Bazoutenhout and Dietrich.
And Harman's a trendy pick this week. I noticed quite a few people like him. And I guess they, like you said, the course as well as Harman's played well in bad weather before, I guess. Right, Brady?
Yeah, he played well in the Open Championship, right? I mean, you asked me, Gabe, at the outset there if I adjusted my handicap for the weather at all. I don't think you can this week. It's going to come down, apparently, cats and dogs on Thursday. It started on Tuesday. It rained on Wednesday. It's not supposed to let up until Saturday. I mean, I don't know how much golf they're going to get in. One thing I think we know for sure, it's going to be soft and wet, and guys are going to just fire darts at flags. So, how does that change? Can you look
There's
at
going to be a lot of stop and starts. There could be delays and stuff too, right? And Cam, that affects some players differently as well, right? There could be a lot of staggered times. Yeah.
Brady knows. You need the proper mindset because it's a frustrating thing. You're in there and say you're on a heater and then you hear the horn. You're like, are you kidding me? Like, I just rang off 6 birdies in a row. Some guys are going to get absolutely livid and other guys are just going to sit back, chill, have a smoke and go, you know what? I can do this again. I think ball striking is key this week. And Gabe, another point to this tournament that's very important is it's not long. So a lot of the old guys, I think, could do well this week, too. Like guys like Matt Kuchar are playing very well. Ryan Moore, I have for a top 40. We'll go over my picks later, just about Brady. But I will say a lot of these guys, it's not long, so it brings a lot of guys into contention this week. I like these type of tournaments where it's not just Rory, Bob and gouge. You have guys that actually play precision golf, and iron play is important. That's why this tournament rocks. I hope they get it through.
Yep, absolutely. Driving accuracy outweighs driving distance this week.
Yeah.
What did you think of Scotty Scheffler's comeback, which he throws a straight fire, 62 on a final?
Borderline
Listen,
miracle,
it lived up
man.
to the
That
hype
was
as far as
unbelievable.
Yeah,
big-time golfers. Yeah, John Rahm, Xander Schauffele, Hideki Matsuyama, Tommy Fleetwood, all battling it
how
out
about this?
At the top of the board.
We were on the show last week. You took Xander, and I was thinking about you. I was on Rahm and Fleetwood. You talk about having it surrounded, and then all of a sudden this guy comes from 6 shots back with 5 holes.
I really thought Xander was going to win, too.
God.
I felt good about Xander the whole time. I was like, Xander's going to win, even going into Sunday morning. I'm like, we got this.
I couldn't be mad. I couldn't be mad because what we watched was such an incredible, miraculous Olympic moment. And then him breaking down into tears on the podium was like the icing on the cake. That whole 2 hours on Sunday, watching it unfold, was witnessing greatness. And I couldn't be too mad. The fact that I lost on Rahm and Fleetwood, I was like, hey, I just watched something I may never ever see again. And he firmly put his foot down as to who PGA Tour Player of the Year is. There's no more question about that.
It's a lock. And I'm going to say this too. Tiger used to do it in a different way where he'd roar and get everybody involved, and then guys would wake up and go, okay, you want to dance, but Scheffler does it quietly, and that's very a dangerous thing. Like these guys, that once he starts coming, Gabe, it's like they don't even see it coming. It's like, yeah, you're into auto racing. It's like that. Next thing you know, the guy's there. He's taking the checkered flag. It's like, what happened in this golf tournament where Tiger Woods used to fire up other guys like Phil and everything? He does it in a quiet way, and in today's world, I think it's more dangerous because guys are kind of like, okay, they don't see him.
And it builds up the enthusiasm for 2028, which will be here before we know it, right? Yeah. Another American wins the gold medal. Scheffler will probably still be playing then. He'd be going for the repeat. It's in L.A., Xander Schauffele, San Diego State. Like, there's just so many great. The golf is going to be off the hook. 2028, Riviera Country Club, right? 2020, 2028.
Wow. Great try.
That is one of that's a dream course for me to play. I have not played it yet, but it's on my bucket list. Of course, the Genesis, the LA Open down there every year. I wonder if they'll hold the LA Open at Riviera that year in preparation for the Olympics. I don't know, but that's always one of my favorite tournaments every year. I didn't know they were playing it there. I'm glad they are.
Yeah, you know what? I've got all the venues already. They've nailed down the venues. Like, there's the only thing there that's undecided is the surfing so far, and it's really, really cool. Some of the stuff that they're going to be doing, like the swimming, is at SoFi Stadium. It's going to be the largest swimming event in the history of swimming.
Amazing.
It's going to be like 100,000 people.
There's so many different places you could go for surfing. Trestles, not too far north of San Diego. That's a very popular break. And, of course, they're all over L.A. as well.
Yeah, there's a debate, though, whether the waves are going to be impressive enough after this Tahiti stuff, right, where it's like vicious.
God, those were incredible, man.
Yeah, they don't want it to look amateur. So there's a thought, do we outsource it to Hawaii? Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receiver. 7 bona fide pass targets deal. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shea back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Gabriel Morency, 2-1 for the Los Angeles Dodgers right now. Phillies do have a runner. Phillies had some action going on. The Dodgers get out of it. The Dodgers have a runner on first base. Although I'm not expecting much to happen. Kiermaier is batting right now. So hitting a whopping 188 on the season. Man, in the old days, baseball 200, like you were done. Like that was like, yeah, you suck at baseball. You're not allowed playing anymore. It was a Mendoza line. Like it was like 200 was like the bottom of the barrel. You have guys that like were in the All-Star game that were hitting like 211, I think. Well, he's got a lot of home runs. Like baseball now, man, like the batting averages. I stand corrected. Kiermaier just got on base because he got hit by a pitch. So good job. Good job, Kiermaier. That's a way to contribute for the team here. Now it leads to Shohei Ohtani. Nobody out, runners on first and second. For a man, actually, we're going to bring Paul Bovey in here, but my guy, Frank Robinson, who hated everybody, but I got along with him, is the only man in the history of Major League Baseball to win the most valuable player in the American League and the National League. Shohei Ohtani could be joining him, actually, which be rarefied air. And Frank wouldn't hate Shohei because Shohei's not on steroids. He hated everybody that was juiced up. Paul Bovey in the house, live from Vegas as well. Paul, good to see you tonight. How you doing?
Doing great, Gabe and Cam. Doing great. Happy to be here as always. Got a couple winners, I hope. Just enjoying that Bet Bash conference, meeting a lot of people, saying hello to some old friends, and it's been great so far. I met Brady for the first time. I met Brady for the first time. We had never met face to face. Yeah, nice. Yeah. So that was great. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you. So we were talking about the Circa Survivor a bit with Brady, and I said, how many entries are you allowed now? And he said he thought it was 10. I said, well, Paul will know, so I'll ask you, how many entries will you have in the Circa Survivor?
Anywhere from 5 to 10. I think you got to give yourself a chance to win. You could fire some shots early on, certainly, and roll the dice. But if you get knocked out with a few,
is that your strategy? So will you have like a team where it's like, all right, this is my sort of the safe pick, and then you'll think outside the box on one? Or are you all sort of the same strategy on the same team when you have multiple entries?
My style is to take chances. Last year, unfortunately, I went out with the Broncos early on. I believe it was against Washington. They had a comeback win. The year prior, I went with the Texans, and I think they played the Bears, and we lost a close game. So you have to take some shots unless you have multiple entries, because then you could take those shots down the line. But there's a strategy for this, and I think you can incorporate a lot more strategy the more entries you have, and you just have to evaluate what you can afford relative to your bankroll. And if you can go for the 10, I think it's advisable to give yourself the best chance. A couple years ago, got down to the Thanksgiving Day game, and it was Dallas against the Raiders, and we went with Dallas when in reality we should have gone with the Raiders just based on the numbers, knowing how many people would get knocked out with the Cowboys and how many people would stay alive if the Raiders happened to upset them. And we could have actually bet the money line on the Cowboys to give ourselves just some money just in case it didn't work out and taken the Raiders, but we didn't do that, and we get knocked out as Dak Prescott and the Cowboys lose on Thanksgiving Day. So decisions have to be made along the way. More entries you have, the more opportunity you have, but the more money it costs you.
You know, one thing I'll say, too, I've had multiple entries in the traditional contests, and sometimes I'll end up with the same games, man, which is kind of pointless. But I don't like I'm not going to like 10 games. So it's like, man, I got 2 or 3 entries, and I got 3 of the same games on every team, which is kind of pointless in a way. I like the concept with Survivor a little bit better. And one thing, too, and I won one Survivor once, and it was pretty good, too. It was like we lasted 15 weeks, and I ended up winning in like week 15 or 16, and everyone else got eliminated. It was a private one, but I got paid well for it. But one of the reasons I won, Paul, too, I thought outside the box early. Like I did some like sort of like I took like a pick 'em game in week 1 type of deal. I think I took the Arizona Cardinals in week. Like no one would do that. Like you know what I mean? But I was like, no, I think they're gonna win, and I'm still gonna have the Bills. And the Cowboys were great. It was like when Prescott was murdering it years ago. I was like, I'm still gonna have them on my back pocket after. And I think it was the year the Falcons went to the Super Bowl actually and lost that I won the 28-3 year. But I don't mind sort of coming in because this year, bro, everybody's going to take the Cincinnati Bengals in week 1, right? Just point blank. So they're playing the Patriots. Everyone's going to be on the Bengals. I don't mind thinking outside the box, but we're just a degenerate weasel, Paul. We don't have the bankroll. We don't have the full bankroll of 10 entries here and 10 entries there. Like,
you get partners.
I'm just a meager talk show host,
Me too.
Hey, you got to get a couple friends, and you get together and you pool your money.
But I don't like that. That's another thing too. I reckon I don't like that.
Too, Gabe.
It's not
friends and money. That's where friendships end. That's the thing. I'd rather just do it on my own way. It's tough, but yeah, no. 10 entries.
So the deal is with that Bengal game, you can't take the Bengals. It's just not a proper. It's not a wise play considering how many people will take the Bengals. If anything, you should be taking the Patriots possibly as a flyer, knowing that 90% of the field may get knocked out with the Bengals. So these are the things you have to kind of evaluate. You're probably better off just not taking the game because if you take the Patriots, more than likely you are going to get knocked out. But the best play is probably to stand pat and go somewhere else.
The millionaire maker stuff in DFS, the fantasy stuff on Sundays, it's the same thing. It's worth it just to literally take the worst quarterback, worst wide team, worst offense, and stack them every week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League, 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receiver, 7 bona fide pass targets deal. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. Paul Bovey kicking with us from Vegas. Let's talk some football. Paul, I know you've got some college football win totals that you've started to put in right now. College football is starting. in less than 3 weeks' time. It's really creeping up on us, man. Awesome stuff. August 24th. But NFL preseason began last week with a little gambling controversy. Game didn't go 55 minutes. Tomorrow night, your Giants are in action against the Detroit Lions, and the Patriots are laying 6.5. Friday night, there's there's 3 NFL games, and Saturday there's a bunch of games. Are you going to be betting any of the NFL preseason games this weekend?
Yeah, I probably will. And look, I've been slow to get to slow to it. Let's say I just haven't looked at the first week much yet. I haven't played anything, and these numbers are moving all over the place. So I'm probably going to be locked out when it comes to getting the best number or value. So I may just have to sit back and take a pass on week 1 if the number doesn't come in where it looks appealing to me. But I'll get into the preseason. I know we only have 3 games. In past years, we had 4, not including last year. But I'll play some stuff. But I've been concentrating more or less on college football over the last few days and just ramping up my knowledge. So I'll get there, though.
Yeah, I'm fired up for college football. So let's start off right now with South Alabama. Talk to me about South Alabama and what you're doing with South Alabama this year.
All right, so I love this team under, especially if you could get the 7. Now, obviously, you're going to pay up for the 7 as opposed to 6.5. But if you could get under 6.5 for plus 150, which I did, I think that's a play. And I also laid 7 under 130, and I would lay that all day. They moved the number on me. If I get some more, I'll take it. Major Applewhite, first-year coach here, but they lose Carter Bradley, and he was very effective for them last year. They bring in Gio Lopez, limited experience, played a few games last year, notably the bowl game against Eastern Michigan, 14-19, 192 yards, but they lose a 1,000-yard rusher in Webb. They lose their top receiver in Lacey, over 1,300 yards in terms of receiving yards. So these are going to hurt, but Gio Lopez will be playing behind an unseasoned offensive line. They only have 21 starts returning. They do bring over 2 transfers, but on the defensive side, they lose 6 of their top 7 tacklers, and I just think this team's going to be up against it. Now, if you play the 7, they would have to go 8-4 to bust you out. Now, they have an automatic loss. They play LSU on the road. They're going to play Appalachian State on the road, nationally televised Thursday night game. I don't think they're going to get that one. And that would leave you at 8-2. They'd have to go 8-2 for you to lose. And look, they have some tough games on the slate. They play Troy. They play a few road games against tough opposition, and they finish up with Texas State, which is no walkover this year. So I just don't think they're going to get to 8 wins. And a lot of times when I look at these win totals, I'm looking at the number and I'm saying, what is the number I'm going to lose at? That's why if you want to play it safe, grab the 7, lay to 30, 40, even up to 45. If you want to be a little more aggressive, if you can get the 145, 150 at the plus money on the 6.5, you go that direction.
You look at their schedule from September 19th through to like October 15th. This is a tough gauntlet, and it's physically going to take its toll on them. App State are a legit team this year. Some people think App State are an outside shot to make the playoffs. I don't. I think they'll lose to Liberty. But they're still a good football team, and the game is at App State. South Alabama at LSU. You got a weird SEC matchup thrown in here for them. South Alabama at Arkansas State. Arkansas State are on Phil Steele's one of the teams on his most improved teams list. Troy at South Alabama after Louisiana Monroe. As you stated, Paul, you get to the 7 and an 8 has to beat you. I understand where you're going with this.
Yeah, and look, 2 of those teams are off buys right after the LSU games. That's another disadvantage when you take teams that have a week off and have more time to prepare. So I don't think this is an 8-win team. I don't think it's a 7-win team. I think it'll be a stretch to get to 6 and more likely 5.
Paul Bovey. Yeah, I'm gonna call 6 that they squeeze into a bowl game. That they squeeze into one of the million bowl games that exist. More Paul on the other side.